Are you wondering how to never get cold on a late season hunt? Well, I got a secret for you. The best way to do that is to stay at home. But if you want to have to go on one of these hunts, I'll give you a couple of tips that'll help you not be as cold as you would be otherwise. Check it out. Woo. Yes! Hey, I'm Adam Foss. I grew up backpack sheep hunting in the Canadian Rockies, mostly in the late season. Here's my 7 best tips to stay warm on cold weather mountain hunts. Let's get into it. Tip number 1, fuel in the tank. What I mean by that is you have to put more calories and more water in your body to function at cold temperatures. And it's counterintuitive because you don't feel thirsty when it's that cold. You have to stay constantly on the chore of melting snow for water or you're gonna shut down out there. Boiling soup, tea, coffee. Because of that, you need about twice as much fuel. So we would normally bring 2 double cans for 2 people on a 10-day hunt. I would double that for a late season hunt. So 4 of these cans on a 10-day hunt for 2 people. You need to keep this fuel warm too to make it burn as efficiently as you possibly can. So put it inside your down jacket. This is the Kelvin Hyper Down. It has big stash pockets on the inside. So if you stop to glass, throw your fuel next to your body and that fuel is gonna warm up. Put the fuel on top of your sitting pad while you boil, not right on the snow. Or you can use your tent bag to bring all this snow outside into your vestibule of your tent, and you know about how much water you have based on the weight of the snow.
We hit it a couple times with Adam's ferocious combo.
What would you estimate the temperature to be?
Minus 25 C.
You actually need way more snow than you think because snow is dry, especially in the Rockies. When you do have water boiled, it's gonna freeze pretty quick out here. I want this to be tucked inside, and then I have water whenever I need it. You also need to put fuel in your body, way more calories than you think, 30 to 50% more calories on a winter hunt and compared to a summer hunt. I might bring 3,000 calories on a summer hunt. I want at least 4,000, 4,500 calories, and I'll take them any way I can get them. I'm gonna add tons of fat to my freeze-dried, like coconut oil, olive oil, pepperoni, cheese. I'll bring leftover pizza and we'll eat more chocolate bars, Snickers.
When we get to our camp, we're gonna eat it. King size grand format. That's for taking out big ramps. Might break your teeth.
Tip number 2, be bold, start cold. How many times have you been hiking up the trail, it's freezing cold outside, but you have way too many layers on, you have a big pack on, and you immediately start sweating, and you just dread when you have to stop. Take your pack off, take your bino harness off. Now you're kind of cold because you've stopped, and you're all sweated up. I'm gonna start that day in just a light synthetic layer. I like synthetic because it dries faster, and maybe just a very light wind jacket like the Mountain Evo if I'm up above Alpine and dealing with the wind. I'll put on warm gloves and a warm hat, even if my hands don't get cold on trekking poles, but I'm gonna be able to ditch those, throw them in my side pockets very quickly, and keep moving. Manage your layers, don't overdress for the cold. Counterintuitive, but be bold, start cold. You'll actually stay warmer because you're not gonna sweat up and have to stop and take your layers off and on, off and on. Oh man, is this fun?
No.
Tip number 3, stay dry or die. It's a little dramatic, but some research says you lose heat 25 times faster if your skin is wet as opposed to dry. And anecdotally, we all know as soon as your feet get wet, as soon as your back gets wet from sweat, you really start to get cold, especially as that wind picks up. So this is not the time to be aggressive when you're crossing creeks. If you're going through trees with a bunch of snow hanging off the branches, put your hood up. Use your sleeping bag as your lifeline to bring all those items inside your sleeping bag at night. Boot liners, bring your gloves, hats, base layers, all those things inside your sleeping bag so you can start the day as dry as possible and start the day as warm as possible. Tip number 4, treat your feet. The first thing to get cold on a cold weather hunt is your feet. Once you start sweating in those boots and those boots get a little bit of moisture in them, they'll freeze overnight and then you're just gonna keep accumulating moisture day after day and it's gonna get harder to jam your feet into those frozen ice block boots. I'm a really big fan of synthetic mountaineering boots, especially in the late season. Some of them will have a double boot system, so it'll have an inner boot that you can remove. You can wear it in your sleeping bag. It'll dry that liner out, and then you can jam your feet back into your boot. If you're not wearing that style of boot that has a double boot, you can actually dust the dry snow off your boot, bring those into your sleeping bag. It sounds weird, but you can bring it in. Your boot will actually dry out and be warm. The other thing I'm a big fan of is down booties. These are absolutely critical pieces of gear. I like the style with a long gaiter. These are from Mountain Equipment Co-op. So I can wear these actually out in the snow if I have to go out and take a leak. And it's also gonna help dry my feet and socks out at night. Socks are important. I use a liner sock and an outer wool sock. So my liner sock's either gonna be silk or synthetic. It's gonna pull moisture from my foot and push it out to the wool sock. Everybody sits on one of these awesome butt pads for your butt to keep warm. Same concept applies for your feet. If you bring 2 of them, they weigh absolutely nothing, and you can rest your feet or stand, and your feet are gonna stay a little bit warmer, and that's just gonna keep you out hunting longer, glassing longer, and that's how you're gonna find animals in the late season. Whew, it's cold, man. Tip 5, insulation station. You cannot have enough down insulation when you're on a trip like this. How we're gonna find these sheep is sitting there behind the glass. However, it's still a backpack hunt. We need as light and packable of gear as we can possibly get while still being as warm as it possibly can. This Hyper Down from Sitka that they've just came out with is the best warmth to rate ratio down system that I've ever worn. Absolutely need down pants. They zip on over top of bulky boots and pants. Same with the jacket. It's cut to fit over top of your bino harness. So as soon as you stop the glass, rather than cooling off, it should be the first thing at the top of your pack. Pull it out, throw it on over top, immediately start trapping all that body heat that you worked up on the hike. You can wear these down jackets and pants while you're actually sleeping. There isn't a toggle behind the hood that most jackets have. So when you want to lay on your back to sleep, it's hitting you in the back of the head. This jacket does not have that. The Hyper Down also has a down baffle behind the zipper, which helps trap air. This is just so warm for what it actually is in terms of weight and compressibility. I've got this jacket at under 19 ounces. The pant is about the same weight. So together that system is not a lot of weight for how much punch it's giving you when it comes to warmth. Tip 6, you gotta play the wind. On these cold weather hunts, the wind is such a factor. It's gonna suck all that warm air away from your body. And as you're cruising on a ridgeline, you wanna be able to duck in to the lee side of the mountain. You wanna hide behind rocks to glass. You can set your pack up and lay behind it. A wind stopping layer is something that is absolutely critical. So normally you'd have your rain gear. You can actually ditch your rain gear if you know it's gonna be a very cold temperature, especially in the Rockies. That snow is gonna be really dry. That wind stopping layer is gonna do enough to keep that dry snow that might be blowing off of you. It's gonna block that wind and keep the warm air next to your body. It's also gonna be more breathable than rain gear, so you can actually exert yourself a little bit more. Something like the Mountain Evo or a Jetstream, if you wanted a little bit more insulation, is gonna be a great part of your kit. I've never seen you put down pants on before.
Oh, it's cold, that's why.
Tip number 7, commit to the cold. There's 2 facts on a late season hunt. Number 1, you will be cold at some point. Number 2, you will warm up. This is all about the mental side of late season hunting. There's less hunting pressure, animals are up on their feet moving longer. You can use snow to track or also just glass tracks. And then you might have animals moving up out of the high country as snow starts to accumulate. Anything can happen at any point, down to the second last day of the season, last evening of the season, and all of a sudden a sheep shows up that you never have seen before. Second last day, we got a ram spotted. Cam doesn't get excited about much. Saw him crack a small smile. How I think I like to get through these hunts is with a great hunting partner. I've got my brother Cam. He's the craziest sheep hunter I know. He's always dragging me into these cold weather hunts.
Any words of encouragement?
So hopefully these 7 tips helped you be a little bit warmer on your next hunt, or maybe you never want to hunt in the late season and just stay inside on your couch where you're watching this video, or just hunt in September and be a good hunter, punch your tag in September, and never have to end up hunting in October or November. But that's not always us, so here we are. Yes, last day, buddy.
That was awesome.